Do we have any music?
I changed the hype playlist, so there should be stuff in there we can actually play if you want to play that.
Yeah.
I think we have some chill music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zelda and chill. Wicked. All right, let's admit everyone. Hey, hello everyone. Welcome. We'll give you a few minutes to set up your audio settings. You will need to talk this time for a presentation, so we'll give you a few minutes to get started with that. In the meantime, I'm gonna set up the mural board for everyone.
Hey Tiffany, thanks for setting up the board. Hey, would it be okay to go ahead and drop our wireframes and prototypes right into this board?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoops. Okay, so we're all at part 3 right now. So we have 2 sections here for Team A, Team B. Feel free to drop your exports onto the frames. And if you need some extra space, you could use the frames at the bottom here. Or you can copy and paste them and you could have more space.
Sounds good. Thanks, Pavani. If that's not clear, I'll try to place over 2. Yeah, that other one's not clear.
Can you try uploading these? Yes. Let me just.
Yeah, I'll try bringing over a higher version of that.
Hello, those of you that are just joining us now. We're getting into our teams. So Team A, you could scroll down to this area here in part 3. We have 2 frames that are open here for you to drop your wireframes or your sketches or your hi-fi prototype. If you need help with uploading, just either unmute your mic and ask a question, or you could use the chat.
Hey, so Pavani, it worked better once in Figma I exported it as a PNG and then pasted it, and now it seems like the detail is fine enough for the presentation.
Very good.
Okay, let me go ahead and grab our wireframes as well. There a second ago. Hey, does anyone know the shortcut for zooming in on Miro? I keep treating it like Figma and like hitting Z. And probably a faster.
Do you have a Mac?
Yes,
you
I
have
do.
a Mac? You do? You can just like use your finger on the trackpad. Zoom in and out. Yeah.
Oh.
Or you can use your mouse too. But I've been using a trackpad because that's just it seems to have a better control using your fingers.
Yeah, it seems like it's
just
easy around
pinches.
Miro.
Also on a Mac, if you press Command plus or Command minus, that's also a shortcut as well.
Ah. Okay. Learning. Oh, that's great. That's so obvious. I should have realized. Thank you so much.
No problem.
We can use the space below too.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see what you did. That's perfect. You can kind of like separate the extra stuff from the main stuff. That's good.
Created an extra frame just in case you needed it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, things are getting a little cramped here. Maybe it's okay to use that for separating maybe our wireframes from our prototype might help.
And also to help us identify which wireframe or prototype is yours, can you just leave a sticky note with your name?
Yes.
If everyone worked on a team, then during presentation, just let us know who worked on what.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay, we got 1 minute left.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. Did you want us to add the lo-fi and like other resources that we had as well, or just the high fidelity?
I think I heard that. You're asking if we need to see the lo-fi wireframes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
No, it's okay. If you want to show it just as reference, that's totally fine. But for the presentation, we're just looking at the hi-fi. That's what we'll give you feedback on.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so time's up. If you need a little bit more time to prepare, we'll let you do that. However, yeah, this looking great. I'm actually excited to look at these works and to hear more about your process. Does anyone from any team want to volunteer to present first?
Actually, let me just like remind them of the presentation
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
guidelines quickly, everyone.
Yeah.
So if this is your first time or presenting, if you're nervous, I just want to give you some quick tips and guidance. So essentially, I would like you to walk us through your design solution and explain what is the problem and how your design solution address the problem, and why is this solution critical and crucial in solving the particular problem that the persona is experiencing. And also, you can briefly explain the research and exploration process outside of just doing the ideation that helps you arrive to the solution, and what is the expected and anticipated outcome, like considering the user experience and even business KPIs with the proposed solution. Does anyone have any questions? Nope. Okay. So yeah, I guess we can pick a volunteer to get started.
Yeah, I mean, Team B can go first. Pavani, if you feel ready. If not, then we can hang back and do second.
Yeah, I was just checking the final screens you have pasted. The screen edges has dissolved into the background. I was just checking why it is like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird, but at least we have the second version right there. So I think that's totally
Okay. I guess Team A, are you ready to go ahead and present your work?
I don't mind going. Itzy and Itzy, are you guys ready?
Yeah. So why don't you so one of you can pick someone as the lead to, and then kick off with the design that you have worked on, and then you can talk about the respective screens if you worked on different features, and then you will have that person explain what you did.
All right. Okay, sounds good. I can start going through. I think what I wanted to do first was to go through Jennifer's persona really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I am going on the mural board. I'm not sure if everyone's following me, but I am currently on the persona. So just really quickly, we had Jennifer in mind when we were building our high fidelity prototypes. And so something that she's struggling with is just to find ways to feel less lonely, wanting that instant moral support when she's having big feelings, and also just improving her self-worth, like as she is in a new city and starting a new job, and she's finding that there is lack of a community there, and there's no and through using the app she finds that there isn't really that much customer support, so she wants to find something that can address those needs as well. So going to our designs, I don't think that okay, so these are our designs here, and Itzy, did you want to start with the welcome page, and I can pick it up back on my screens?
Sure, yes, I can start with the welcome screen. We wanted something that was like happy and bright. Uh, so, and then from our ideation, uh, somebody had come up with a dashboard. So we created collaborated on a home screen where um, Jennifer would have several options throughout her day to uh, check in on her emotions or find support in an affirmation, journaling, or drawing, and also check her progress throughout the week. Um, and Kathy, do you want to talk about the the feelings wheel?
Yeah. So I think I mentioned it briefly when I was when we were doing the crazy eights, but just to reiterate, so something that I used back when I was teaching, especially for students that had a hard time expressing themselves, was like a feelings wheel or a feelings chart.
Mm.
I thought that it was applicable for this app. Um, it seems like Jennifer has um, a an issue with figuring out how she is feeling, where uh, and I wanted it to be kind of like a resource for her to utilize this in times of um, frustration, so that like she could really quickly just click on one, and then it will bring you to the second screen here, where it further describes feelings of sadness. This particular one I've done is through sadness. And so, if in the prototype, you can scroll through what they call a secondary list of feelings, where she can further input like what she's feeling. There's also a way of bypassing this completely if she wanted to just go straight into the chat. Something that I wanted to add into if I continue working on this is to integrate. I know we talked a lot about articles and um, how we could give her resources because we are tech. It is a chatbot. It's not an actual. It cannot replace mental health professionals. So maybe linking her to how she can address like certain feelings, like articles that deal with that, and then I wanted to integrate that into the chat function in my next iteration. If that's yeah, and then Itzy, I'm gonna pass it back to you.
Thank you. Oh yeah, so another of the ideas that we came up for Jennifer so that she can self-soothe uh, during a difficult time was to have an affirmation. So I came up with a screen so that she can play a daily affirmation according to her needs, and um, she can also change her voice and also transcribe in case she is hearing impaired or she's in a situation where she doesn't have her headphones. And she can also express herself through drawing or an activity, and she can draw her emotions or she can journal. So we have a little journal page where she can write or journal something that she is feeling and to help her reflect. Thank you.
Yeah. I think those are our screens. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. And I think ET helped us with like a lot of the alignments because I ran out of
Mm-hmm.
time, and he graciously came in at the end and helped us with our alignment.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it looks amazing, guys. I'm just sad it's not as clear on my end. It's quite blurry, but like overall, in terms of um feeling like the chat is still like the core function of the app, I totally feel that. And like the color scheme is, I like it too. I like how it's sprinkled throughout, and it's just really nice. I thought you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, I want to say it's good. Like I love the fact that you all have expanded outside of just the chat functionality and incorporated more, like visualization and guide in a sense, and also like turn it into sort of like a digital journal in a way. I really like that thought process. Um,
Yeah, another thing I wanted to mention is, by the way, Kevin, if you're having issues with the images not rendering, try zooming in or zooming out.
Okay.
Sometimes it takes a while for the images to show up on Mural. It's a bit
Yep,
buggy.
it did that. Zooming in did it.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
It's suddenly
Yeah.
clear.
Because it's
Oh yeah,
totally
that looks great.
crystal clear on my end. I really like this feature with the affirmations where you could record yourself saying something and playing it back and hearing it. I've actually had a therapy session where they've, recommended that I say affirmations, and this is like an interesting inclusion in the app itself that you could do it yourself. So, yeah, I think that's like a really interesting and new kind of idea that I haven't seen done before, but yeah, it looks kind of cool. I also like the drawing feature as well. This is all kind of included in um, the dashboard, right? So if I'm understanding correctly, the user can pick different activities to kind of help with their emotions, and they would be directed
Yes.
to these screens, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
mm,
All right. Um, as for feedback from Claire or Tiffany, do you have any feedback or any kind of what are things that we could improve in this?
The only thing that popped out to me was the screen where it's like the secondary emotions, like from the wheel. I think that's a great idea. I just think with the UI there that there could be some. I'm assuming it's like a scroll to the right, right?
Yeah, I wasn't able to do like the it's like we have like a little bit of a prototype on Figma, but unfortunately, due to space and also on the board, like I can't really show that. I struggled to I like you said, the UI of this is a little weird. Um, I struggled to figure out whether I wanted to scroll or just to have the secondary emotions or feelings on the whole entire page, and then it just populates maybe like in rows of two, and then um, I think the scrolling was intentional on my part because I wanted them to go through each of them, um, but I wasn't sure what the best way of presenting that was, and so I just ended up with a scroll.
Yeah, and I think that's doable. Just some accessibility things that you might not be aware of is if somebody has motor control issues, it
Yeah.
might be hard for them to scroll back and forth. So having like an arrow option off to the side so they can like click through if they need to.
Mhm.
Or like you said, like trying to put it all on the screen, but if it's intentional that you want them to like think through it, then I get that.
Thank you.
yeah, I guess I'll also give my feedback too. I'm actually very curious about the third screen because I know you explained that this is an interesting way to represent ranges of emotion in a wheel. Um, so I kind of want to understand here. So let's say if Jennifer is clicking on one of them, and then what's
Yes.
gonna happen after? It's gonna go to the subsequent screen next to this. Am I understanding this
Yeah.
correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it's not fully showing what the thing would do, but then my assumption would be that like when she clicks on one of the emotions, it will send her to the secondary list of emotions, which is the hurt, lonely, and then off screen it's guilty. She can
Mm-hmm.
opt out of those and just say that she's feeling sad, and then from there it will take her to the chat, where they start talking about her feelings. So in this scenario, in this the chat that I put on here, it's the one where she clicked through the first set of she clicked on the wheel and she clicked on the secondary feelings, and so it says that like she's feeling sad, and more specifically she's feeling hurt, and then so it's prompting her to give her reasons why. um, and in Figma I have one screen that says like, oh, I got a negative performance review from my boss today, and then so it would use those types of things to then populate like the chatbot's answers. um, yeah.
Okay. Uh, yeah. So a couple of things that I was just thinking. So I think it's a very interesting take that you're going with the wheel directions, but then there's also a thing called data visualization where these are kind of associated with like pie charts. And so usually these type of like UI elements are more used to visualize data. And so in this case, I understand your direction. So I was wondering like how did you do this like division of why is it the fearful seems to be
Okay.
bigger than bad and all these things, right? So I don't
Yeah.
know if this would be the best UI representation for Jennifer to have to
So
select within
that was
the
also
space.
something that I had in mind. It is this particular chart I took from there is someone called Dr. Gloria, I can't remember her last name, and she created this feeling wheel. And because of the secondary feelings, that is why the pie chart it looks the way it is. I agree with you completely, but for the sake of time, I wasn't able to create one where it's all equal spacing. And so I just took hers and then put it on here. But that is something
Okay.
that I have um, in the back of my mind. I'm like, this is not representative of what Jennifer should be seeing, because some of them, like you said, are so much bigger. And feelings are feelings, and all of them are valid.
Yeah, yeah. I think ultimately I'm also considering how Jennifer is interacting with this element, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so maybe to her, she's trying to understand why are there different percentage within the chart.
Yeah.
And then you also consider, let's say if you display this in a more like um sequential format instead of this, maybe she will have an easier time to select the option that
Mm.
suits however she's feeling, and then she will not get stuck. Because right now it feels more like it's presenting some type of information than giving her an option to click on
Yeah,
them to
for
proceed.
sure.
So that would be one thing I will have you to consider.
Yeah.
Um, and then what else?
I actually have an example of maybe a way that we could display this. I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
upload an image quickly.
Yes.
And I guess my second question is for the affirmation. It says change voice. It's that it so I'm trying to understand. So the affirmations are these pre-recorded affirmations that were um pre-set up within the product, and so if and we're allowing Jennifer to have the options to personalize how they would like to hear it.
Yes, correct. She can change her voice to a different voice if she doesn't like what she's hearing. So yeah, originally it's something that is pre-recorded
Mm,
um, according to her, um according to her metrics, or to her personalized.
got it. Okay. And I guess in a way to tie into the entire flow, how are the affirmation messages curated based on the data that we obtain from Jennifer?
According to how she's feeling throughout the day, from her week, or to her profile activity, I guess.
Hmm. Okay. Um, I think that's it from me. I think you all did a really fantastic job. It's a really good start.
Hmm.
Obviously there are more subsequential little details that you can polish, but I think in such a short period of time, this is wonderful. Yeah, so good job everyone.
Yeah, it's really clear that you guys like really thought through all the information that we gave ahead of time and tried to implement that in some way in this. So that was really nice.
Yeah, great job, guys. This is super impressive.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue.
Absolutely. Anyone else from Team B want to give final comments for Team A? Oh, Pavani says you did great.
I I also do want to emphasize like how much I love the affirmation page and the draw page. They were
Hmm.
just it just seemed so of course once I saw it, but now that it's there, like I can't imagine the app being without it, and it feels very in line with the way to the chat app kind of feels like it is running you through like kind of a mini therapy session, and that there's so many techniques to deal with whatever Jennifer might be dealing with. So this is absolutely great. Thank you.
Yep, and Kathy says thank you. Alrighty, so I think we can move on to Team B. Does anyone have any
Sure.
final words for Team A before we move on? Nope. Okay. So let's move on to Team B.
Sure.
There's a lot of wireframes here, so
Yes.
who would
And
like to volunteer to talk first?
I think Pavani, would it be all right if I went first and we kind of just went in sticky note order? That might make it simpler.
Hi. Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. If you do, you want to start, Kevin?
Yes, then I'll start. Okay, just wanted to make
Okay.
sure we're on the same page. Okay, all right.
Okay.
So we took a very different approach, and that's because our team experienced issues like design challenges trying to work on this together. You'll notice that like Avi's not here with us, and he's been dealing with some extreme like personal issues, for example, is my understanding. So what you're kind of seeing is the result of us kind of showcasing different features based on the sketches that we did in Crazy Eights, because so many of our team members weren't able to actively contribute to the actual design of the product. So we wanted to retain as much of their sketch ideas intact so that they would still be a part of the end product. Um, which is probably why you see like a lot of different ideas out there, and they're based as close as possible on the original sketches, if that makes sense.
Okay. Just to
Okay.
clarify,
Yes.
which frame are we looking at first? There's
Sure. Yeah. So if you guys are not on my character, we're looking at the group of six white frames, and starting with the far left one with the chat.
okay, got it.
Is kind of like where I'll start. So, as opposed to like a clear user journey, it does seem like or user flow. It seems like from our user journey that Jennifer kind of uses the app more like reactively compared to stressors that she's experiencing. So we thought offering a feature set of things that she can use to ease her in these situations would help. So starting with like the core feature of the chat, what you're seeing is like a mid-fi prototype, which hopefully the AI is capable of, remembering like the small challenges that she has, shared with the AI bot. As she goes through things like, she's stressing out for presentation at work. Maybe she has a driver's license that she needs to study for. Maybe there's some personal challenges, even like something simple as a date, are things that give people anxiety or stress. And so we're hoping that the AI bot remembers these things and brings them up appropriately, naturally. And we hope that people can engage in that way too. So that way the bot has natural points in the conversation to insert suggestions based on articles that the user has read or that the self-knowledge that Jennifer's been working on. Yeah, so that's the chat page. Um, Moving on to articles. So this is based on Abi's sketch, who's unfortunately not here with us, where we did mention this as a group as well, using articles to kind of further the exploration of self. And you'll see later in the final prototype, we thought this could be extended to include articles from like actual publications, some psychologically based, some more for entertainment, but all touching on these same themes, this conversation about being more aware of the feelings and the conditions that we live with and how to live with them. The challenges page was a sketch that I had originally done, and basically it was a way to kind of in line with treating the app sort of like a diary, is kind of taking note of things that are particularly stressful, that maybe you have trouble dealing with, and hopefully through the app, by reading these articles, by learning these techniques, like through filters or tags, these can be pulled from the things that you learn. So maybe you read an article that says like, hey, deep breathing, if you can find a moment, really can help reduce your anxiety. And then once that's been learned and practiced, that could be reminded when Jennifer, whoever uses the app, reviews or challenges, like, oh yeah, I did remember deep breathing. I can use this before I do my work presentation. And hopefully that shows in the app wireframe as well. A technique being applied and being gently reminded to the user. And then this fourth one is just it was Priyanka's sketch of, she thought, hey, it'd be great if we had a page where you could tell them how you feel. The contacts where it says my pocket was something in line with one of Pavani sketches, where it'd be great if they had their personal network ready to reach whenever possible. And so we would like to include a part on the app that reminds, like, hey, you're not alone. If you're in trouble, these are trusted people in your life that you have shared, that you're going to talk to, and have those contacts available to remind them that they're loved and they're supported. And then like an inspirational quote was part of that too. Uh, yeah, if there's no questions, then Pavani can cover her wireframes.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah, so the next two screens are kind of designed based on the sketches by Priyanka. So these screens, how they work, are like if Jennifer comes to the chat feeling disappointed, of she has to work through something in her day. Suppose she came through a task, but she failed at it, and so she's seeking help. So she came to the app My Pocket and she chatted with it. At the end of the chat, like after uh, whatever she has spoken, the conversation, based on the conversation, the bot actually gives uh, analyzes her mood and her the way of talking and everything, and based on that she delivers like what is her mood of the day, like how is she feeling, and how she can do some activities, like listen to something, you can watch this or you can read this, and motivating her through some quote or tip which will help her to cope. It's like a snapshot of her feelings at the end of the chat, and how to move ahead of from those feelings. And I just made two versions of it, like trying emoji or bars with which will show different colors. But I ended up choosing emojis because I thought it would be a clearer, it paints a clear picture of a mood, and it will be a straightforward thing. Uh, yeah, so those are those pretty much. Should we go ahead and explain the final designs too?
Yes, we'll do that. Again, time constraints and people's availability, so we weren't able to uh, give the proper amount of time needed to finish up our prototypes. But what you're seeing on the first page is my initial attempts to kind of put everyone's ideas in one place on a home screen, which includes, front and foremost, I noticed, we didn't do a competitive audit, but I didn't realize until very deep in the development of this that our app colors that we chose are very similar to Headspace, which, if you guys aren't familiar with, is a very popular mindfulness app. So, in the future, knowing to change colors, but knowing that we couldn't in that moment, kind of stuck with the palette from an image that we sourced. And yeah, basically putting these together, you'll see that the remnants from the sketches are still here in the final product. We want to keep the chat first and foremost top and center, because that is what defines us and differentiates what we offer compared to our competitors. There's a kind of quote or kind of like a cycling uh, kind of point of inspiration based on things that you're dealing with. and this is from Priyanka's sketch. And then you'll see at the bottom articles kind of being fleshed out into a more final form. And this was Abi's idea to have the self-knowledge articles. And I know that there's no image treatment done yet for these publications, but like I said, I thought it would have been an interesting opportunity to allow outsider kind of businesses kind of work with us, help us. Maybe we could do something like we link to one article for free for them, but then for our customers, they give like 20% off a subscription if they're interested in continuing reading elsewhere. Yeah, and science journals and the like. And I can hand off to Bhavani now for the rest of our final slides.
Yeah, so the next screen, this is not a whole user flow. We just picked up the screens we could have designed given the time. So this is the screen which Jennifer gets to contact her friends or any professional help when she's in need. So this screen mainly addresses her goal of to not feel lonely whenever she is in need or she is in any task she is unable to do, or if it's an emergency or it's anything when she wants to reach out and speak to someone or else contact with them and meet them, so she can directly access a few of her people who she feels close to and connect to. Uh, okay. And Kevin, do you want to present the next one or should I go ahead with that?
Sorry, what was that, Bhavani?
No, do you want to present the next screen or should I go
Oh
ahead
yeah,
with it?
yeah. I'll cover this one too. So this is almost this is Priyanka's sketch. Kind of again, if we can't have them there side by side throughout the whole design process, we want to at least preserve our ideas. So having that mood of the day, kind of like Pavani mentioned earlier, it's been analyzed based on the conversation, the points you brought up. So like, hey, maybe you're feeling like this. So here's a lot of different ways to approach that. And so this is again, kind of experimenting, seeing, this would have to be tested to see if users want these many options. But here you can see there is a potential to provide them a lot of ways and different mediums in which to approach what they're dealing with, because not everyone responds to reading like a scientific journal, not everyone responds the same to watching like a YouTube video. So having a lot of different ways, including exercise or other, enabling our users to go out and do it on their own and reconnect with the people around them that they're feeling disconnected with. Yeah, and I'll leave the last one for Pavani.
Okay. So the last screen uh, this screen addresses the goal of her, like to provide instant moral support. So whenever based on the challenges she has uploaded into the app, or whenever she has any challenge or she has to go and get some test or some presentation, based on the information uploaded into the app gives a pop-up notification, like it boosting her morale or pushing her forward and giving a nudge to that she can do the she can go ahead and like succeed in like whichever makes her complete the task. uh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and if you guys are curious, you could go to the bottom left square and see what those original sketches look like, and see why the designs, closely mirror that. And then those are just, and the rest are just final prototypes that weren't able to be finished. But in case you're kind of seeing how the wireframes were first translated, and then how I kind of congregate everything into a single home screen, that might visually show like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where time right now. If you're curious, yeah. Overall, very different approach, but we also ultimately wanted to give Jennifer the ability to jump right into the chat, and we focused on the chat and highlighting the chat function and feeling like you're being heard by someone else, even if that person isn't actually there. Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you. Wow, this is very detailed. First of all, there's so much. Um, Again, amazing job in terms of like you have so little time and you have went above and beyond, and and did like a mid-fi and then a high fidelity essentially. And I love the fact that you have like so much respect for the Crazy Eight's initial sketches and still want to carry on with the ideas and try to visualize that in the design solution. So that's also very good. I guess I can start with like the good things. I love I love the fact that you obviously have put in a lot of consideration for Jennifer for sure, and I like the my pocket kind of like I think what Kathy also mentioned in the chat as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually very nice. And then there's like this little quote here: today's thoughts. I find that very good, inspirational. I do like the fact that you were trying to emphasize incorporating the chat here to remind the users. Although I can come back and touch upon how I think this can be placed better. But I can see the thought that you went into it, the process.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me see the mood of the day. I find it quite interesting that you have 4 different categories within here, this section. You have the listen to, watch, move, and read. Um, the way you did it is pretty interesting, but I do also makes me wonder: is it only one recommendation like per day? Would there be more? What if you want to give them multiple options to, for example, not just only listen to See It Unstoppable, right? Maybe there can be 3 or 4 other options that Jennifer can listen to, and also same thing with watching the move and the read. So I'm a bit more curious to know what is the thought process behind it only showing one recommendations of each of these categories.
Um,
You mean
Go ahead, Vani. Sorry.
so you mean the one that shows up this third screen, right? Like the one
Yes,
where
the mood of the day. Yeah.
yeah. This was based off on the idea, like based on the mood, analyzing her chat, and we arrive at good conclusion, like how she is feeling, like at that particular moment. And so, if she is feeling disappointed and sad because of something she couldn't achieve, so we thought of incorporating the things which related to that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what I mean. So right now it's only one recommendation for each of this
Yes,
category.
yes.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can try to improve on that and see, but like for the first iteration, we were just focusing on just one emotion and picking based off on that.
Mm-hmm.
I also think
Hmm.
maybe in the future, much in the way that Team A did it, having a less specific, like clear exact song or article and have them as categories, right? Like, oh, I in general like to listen to something, watch something, read something, and then once they click that, have that open up another page where they would have multiple suggestions. Might be the
Mm-hmm.
more
Or it could even be like a playlist maybe of that like fits with that category.
Oh god, I would love that personally, but yeah, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I love mood playlists. Yes.
I have
And
a
then I
few.
guess yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
sorry. Go ahead,
sorry.
Molly.
I just have a few concerns about some of the screens here. So for the mood of the day, um, I'm understanding this as after the user inputs their mood, this bottom section here will appear. So is this supposed to be like interactive? Like it's not there when the user inputs their mood and then this suddenly this section shows up? Is that correct?
Uh, it's based off on the chat. I'm not sure which. We haven't incorporated a mood input thing in this.
Oh, okay, I see.
Uh,
Yeah, and then where's the chat window? The chat window is here.
The chat
yeah.
window's unfinished. Yeah. So we don't have a separate chat page for it in the final. So what you are saying is, yeah, it's more of a literal representation of the sketch. So in terms of how these, exactly these feature sets play out, maybe this works better as It needs its own separate link on the home screen, or it needs to be some kind of pop-up that initiates once you're in chat with the bot self, and once it's got enough information to guess your mood, then maybe this could be a pop-up that you could dismiss or engage with. But right now, yeah, it is kind of a just like separate.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, just something to keep in mind when it comes to maintaining the user's attention. Um, we have quotes stuck at the bottom here. We have articles. We have lots of things to do. I would recommend maybe shortening it down to maybe 3 or 4 pieces of information at the same time so that the user isn't overloaded. The quote here, I'm not sure if this connects with everything on this frame. Um, I'm wondering if there's a purpose for this. Like, can the user interact with this? Is this something that the user can use?
You mean the quote?
Yeah, there's a quote that says something from Winston Churchill: "Success is not, what does it say, final?"
So the
Yeah.
yeah, it was just meant to be like some encouraging or motivating thing. Nothing interactive. We haven't designed as an interactive thing.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Well, just keep in mind in future about just shortening the kind of task that the users are supposed to be doing. So and make sure it's relevant, and any kind of information that is not going to help the user directly, we could also omit those things. And same thing, this is just more of a UI kind of thing. Well, when it comes to the layout of these images, I know this could be just a placeholder for now, but just keep in mind in future, laying over text on, really high contrast images like this would be very difficult to read, and it would cause some kind of accessibility issues as well. For example, the image here with J.K. Rowling is not very visible, and then same thing here with the music. There could be some way, perhaps, to maybe differentiate these images, or maybe make it clear to the user that they can actually listen to music here. So maybe swap out the image for something like an icon that says, "Hey, listen to some music," or "Watch something." Maybe use a different icon there. That's just a suggestion. You don't have to do that. And same thing with
Yeah, that
articles
sounds
as
good.
well. Um, if everything here is visual, I think it would create more balance if we have visuals as well as captions that kind of describes very clearly to the user what kind of content that they're going to be interacting with once they click on that image. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's helpful.
Okay, okay.
We can do those like in the further iterations of the app.
Yeah, I think the reason why it feels so crowded right now is because you have 4 different subcategories that lumps together. And suggestively, I would say, honestly, I would keep one category per line, because now you have two that's different on the same grid. And so and I yeah, it's a bit confusing. I also agree with what Mel is saying. If this is supposed to be like a music, you can honestly like take a look at how Spotify and YouTube design their UI elements to let, again, you're visually communicating to the user, in this case Jennifer, to let them know that they can click on this to listen to music or to watch a video, right? So now it doesn't have that element communicated because it's not here. So this is important to be to consider when you're designing these visual elements in your solution. I also do want to call out the last screen here. I noticed there's a little X, the close thing here. I'm trying to understand this page. So is this supposed to be a little pop up? Are you considering maybe this is supposed to be part of a modal screen, or this is a complete different page?
It's a pop-up screen like based on it just pops up based on the time triggering or location triggers based on the.
Okay, yeah. So if I'm understanding correctly, there are 2 ways to design this. You can design it as a modal screen. I'm not sure if you know if you have ever like order food delivery services where there's a little screen that pops up, but you still
Yeah.
signifying that you're within the process. Yeah, so you can design it in that direction, but if not, if you want to keep it the way that you are right now, I would suggest to swap out the X icon and use the back button instead. So there are two ways
Uh,
to go with this design
yeah,
iteration.
actually, I had a one other iteration version of it, but in the last minute we switched to this. The other
Mm-hmm.
one was a modal one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
again, it's important to, again, a lot of these is to remind the users that, hey, you are trying to take action and complete a goal within the product journey, right? So you don't want them to get deviated or you get distracted or worse, they forgot what they're doing and getting lost in the process. So it's important to have these visual cues and elements to be used properly to communicate that, hey, you are in this flow and you're trying to do this right now, but don't forget there's something in behind here that you're still working on. So just keep
Gotcha.
that in mind. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I also have some visual examples from a mindfulness app slash habit forming app called Fabulous. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but I'm just gonna drop it to the Miro board so that you can have a look. In the meantime, do you have any comments, Tiffany or Claire? Any final remarks? Or Team A, do you have any final remarks for Team B?
I was curious because I don't know if it was touched on or not. At the bottom, there's a icon for challenges. I just wondered what your team was envisioning for that.
Okay, yeah. So that's based off the original mid-fi prototype for wireframes that you saw earlier, and
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't translating to the final design. Honestly, we
Mm-hmm.
really had to rush to put this together right before the meeting, so that did end up me, for example, kind of messing up Pavani's design on the fourth screen, which should have looked more like a pop-up than it does now. So yeah, that's on. Yeah, honestly, we were just scrambling. So it was just not enough time to get the work done to properly keep those consistent with the wireframe, like challenges chat. Instead, we made the decision like, okay, let's sacrifice continuity to make sure everyone's ideas get out there, so that way eventually Priyanka and Albie can hear feedback about, when their sketches are kind of brought to life, what are things that can still improve, anyways. If that makes sense, that was kind of a call I made, and it ended up being very confusing for a presentation, but I thought it would be better than presenting half the content you see here now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate your thought process of that too. I think,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I understand the decision that you have made, and again, it's important to carry these in the presentation to explain why you went this direction. Um, I do have just two tiny things I do want to call out for. Um, the first screen. I know you had for the My Pocket. Again, I actually really love this portion. I guess the only question I have for you here, it's like I noticed there's a search bar. Um, so I'm trying to understand the decision of why is it a search bar or instead of maybe the Jennifer can click on that to see an expanded list of everything on a different screen.
Um, yeah, that sounds better, or something that's more clearly like filterable rather than. I just assume that over time, a user would have so many different techniques and specific articles or authors or speakers that maybe come to mind. Like, oh, I just want to search it here in My Pocket. In which case, maybe a search function is better. But you're right in terms
Mm-hmm.
of ease of use, especially for someone who's just starting to get used to the app. Then yeah, something like a filter
Mm-hmm.
or something that just takes you there more clearly would be better. The thought process behind leaving this here is if you look at the wireframes, like, oh, this or the unfinished prototypes, this was actually my articles page, but because time was running out,
Mm-hmm.
we want to give you some kind of final prototype look. I took from the my articles, like, okay, I can't finish that. Let's put it into the homepage and rebrand it as My Pocket. So this is where the catch-all of all things will go in terms of articles, music, and techniques.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, so my recommendation is, so clearly I can tell this is an overview dashboard, right? And so
Correct.
how a dashboard communicates information to a user is that the people are aware that this is just an overview of like the top couple items. So usually the way we communicate in the visual UI design is that we let them know that this portion of the segment is expandable in a different screen. So this is why I would suggest to keep the search functionality onto the next journey, which is after they click on the expansion of seeing additional items from the My Pocket. And then within that iteration, that's when you can implement the search bar. If there's a lot of information in there, then that's when they can find, the techniques that Jennifer have accumulated through her user journey experience.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then the last bit, I was just wondering, because I noticed there's the favorite contacts, right? So I know it says right now it's nested within the home page. Um, I just kind of want to understand like the categorization and the basically in terms of like a site mapping uh perspective, like how did you why did you decide to place this in home? Because it feels more like it's related to something like in like maybe chatting or even other ways. I just kind of want to get a better understanding of your decision here.
Oh no, this wasn't. So you're talking about the second page where it's highlighted home,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, why is it recited in the homepage?
So we in the final designs we haven't incorporated a way to access the contacts. But if you see in the wireframes, like the one Kevin designed, where he has put like my pocket and a small image of where they can access the contacts.
She's
So
on the
we
fourth
thought it
white
would
screen.
be
Yes.
in the
Hmm.
wireframes. It's on the fourth side.
Got it.
So we thought, yeah, it was an expansion from that design, but in the final design we didn't get to incorporate the how to place, like where can they access these contacts from. So it would be easy. We thought it would be easy if it is in the home page. Like they don't have to go through many steps if they are in need of an emergency.
Got it. Yeah. So this is something, again, I know the time is so limited, so you might not have time to figure every step of the way. But like in the future, when you're working on other design projects, this is where information architecture comes into play, and it's very important. You're basically, trying to figure out what information belongs to what category and everything, right? So this is where you will figure out if this actually belongs in here, in this like segment, this tab, in this menu. Because sometimes people's like I would say their perspective or their understanding of things maybe belong in different areas. So obviously that's why it's important to do user testing too when you have these thing out. But in the meantime, like in the beginning, when you're working on this design, it's important to sort of like kind of strategize and figure out, where this category would live in. But yeah, but otherwise I think you all did
Got
a
it.
fantastic job. It's good. I think that's it from me for now.
Yeah, something
Thank you.
came to mind as I was browsing for visual examples. To improve this dashboard, even if it's a long, scrollable kind of page, you could somewhat redesign these elements to be a little bit bigger, and that way the user's attention might be focused a bit more when they're actually looking on the screen. So I showed you some
That sounds
screenshots
good.
here that I've taken of this app called Fabulous. So it has some of the elements that you guys are trying to design, but I like the way that they laid things out. So this might be a good example to follow as well, just to see how it is that they laid out their visuals as well as the use of icons throughout the homepage screen.
Yeah, this is a great example, and I agree that a really good way to fix it would be giving the images more space and more elements for them to breathe, and just creating a vertical scroll and let them engage with those extra elements like my pocket more deeply if they want to. But yeah, these examples are great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We'll further work on the future iterations.
Alrighty. So do we have any final comments, any remarks for Team B? Nope. Great effort. Great effort, everyone. This is really cool. And I hope that you guys will work on these designs and maybe get them in front of a few eyes, maybe do some usability testing and get some feedback, because all this will help you to build up more of an actual product, and actually you could flesh out the details and perhaps maybe use it as a case study. So yeah, this is a good start, and I liked how everyone, worked together and communicated together with the presentation. It seems like you really thought about the user's needs and also thought about also business goals as well. Unfortunately, we couldn't have like a guest professional to come in and answer some of your questions and give feedback, but between all of us, we did our best here, and we hope that you benefited from this presentation and the feedback.
Yeah, thank you for your feedback. It was very helpful.
Yes, thanks a lot.
Yeah, this was
Awesome.
such a good opportunity. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, no problem. And one final thing to let you guys know. I know we do this at the end of every session. We need feedback. So obviously, this feedback that we get about how we perform in our facilitation, as well as the kind of challenges that we're giving you, we want to know from you whether we're doing a good job or not. So I'm just going to copy and paste the links here for the survey. I'm going to post it here. When you have time, it could be now or later, just click on this link here and give us your feedback on what you felt was really good or could improve in our workshops. Also, if you want to subscribe to us, I could drop a link to our coffee donation page. If you definitely got value from this and you learned a lot, it would mean a lot to us if you donate to us, because it helps us to pay for software to run these kind of workshops. It also helps us to manage our Discord server, making sure that you guys have like a good place to actually talk to each other on. So I'm going to give you the link. I'll put it in the chat. Consider it. Also, if you want to subscribe as a monthly membership, you'll have access to replay videos. So all the screen recordings and all the talks that we've gone through for each part has been recorded, and only people on our Discord server that are subscribers will have access to it. So if you want to rewatch anything, like definitely consider donating to us on a monthly basis. You can cancel anytime, so it's no pressure. It's as small as $5. Just $5 a month, and you could just do it for 1 month and decide not to do it anymore. It's totally fine. It's up to you. But yeah, all this will help us to keep running these kinds of events and making sure that more people can join design sprints. Alrighty?
Yeah. If I could, I guess just give a small bit of I guess compliment for what you guys do. I really appreciate how you guys keep the group smaller for these. It really does make a huge difference, even if that means more members are more likely. It's harder to juggle sometimes, but yeah, it was really nice working with such a intimate group.
Yeah, very happy to hear that. Yeah, I think that's the purpose of what we want to do too. Because when it gets over 20 people all at once, it gets pretty chaotic. So the magic number is honestly always between like around 10 people or so. But yeah, I just want to thank everyone for being here. And then you can feel free to add me and Melanie on Discord. You can find us on Discord. Again, if you have any questions, if you decide to work on this further, you want me to kind of take a look at it, give you more feedback, please reach out to me on Discord. Happy to offer help.
Awesome. I'm totally gonna take you up on that. So
yeah, no problem. Yeah,
message.
schedule some office hours with me, and I'm happy to walk you through something. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. I guess that concludes our workshop. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Yay!
Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
everyone for
much.
being here. No
Thank
Great
you,
job, guys.
problem.
everyone.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, feel free to add me too.
Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend. Thanks, all. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.